going a little bit earlier than what I anticipated. Man, now it's like dark on TikTok. Hey, everyone. Glad you're here. Super excited to have this conversation with you. And this conversation is literally going to set you free in so many areas of your life because so many people end up creating some narratives about some experiences that they've had in their past that keep them stuck from stepping into their future because they have decided that they are perhaps a villain or perhaps a hero, right? Or someone else was a hero and they weren't able to make the distinction and understand every single decision that we made or made in the present moment. Every single decision we make is made in the present moment based on the context of what that experience is, and it plays out over time. So when we were sitting there and we're going, why did this happen? Why did I make such a decision? I wish I wouldn't have made that decision. I'm such an idiot. Like playing out all these narratives that we play out, we don't understand that we made a decision based on the state. So let's just talk about the different things that take place when we are making a decision. And I'm on fire because I've had some amazing coaching today and had some incredible conversations. So you will not want to miss this entire show because I'm going to bring some stuff today because I'm seeing themes within lots of different conversations that I'm having. So when you make a decision, let's look at some of the things that actually happen in that moment. One is, what are you perceiving, right? What wounds were you haven't transcended at that point? Where were you physically? Where were you emotionally? Where were you mentally? And when I say even where you were at physically, like were you hungry? Were you tired? Had you had rest? Were you stressed out? Did you feel guilty from some other decision that you had made prior to this? How much were you carrying when you made that decision that you are still struggling with today, right? But see, what we do is we made this decision way back when, and then we seem to carry it, and this is impacting our ability to move forward. Okay, friends? So, are you a hero or are you a villain? This is a really important question to think about because, and let's even break it down further. Like in the seasons of your life, like every single person goes through seasons of their life. And we end up we show up differently in each one of those seasons, right? Just like if it's wintertime, we're going to dress accordingly. If it's fall, we're going to dress accordingly. If it's summer, we're going to dress accordingly. And understand we have seasons of life. We are going to have different environments that we're a part of. We're going to have different relationships. We're going to have different friendships. We're going to have different levels of understanding and awareness and assimilation and comprehension and all these different things, right? And so in those seasons of our lives, how do we hold space for that time in our life? Now, why is this important? Because this is massively important. Because how you hold space for the decisions you made, whether you're a hero or a villain, is what you are going to believe other people are going to see you the same way. Because then what we do is we project onto other people what we have decided we are in those experiences. Like okay, here's to all the Starbucks drinkers. Got a Starbucks that I'm drinking here. Here's a great example. We have to get in touch with how we've shown up in our lives, like all of it, right? Like we don't just get to look at all the great things that we've done in our lives and we're so proud of all the accomplishments that we've done, although that's important. That's very, very important because some people out there will do everything they can to not acknowledge themselves, okay? So that is the opportunity for someone that doesn't know how to acknowledge themselves, right? The other person is the person that, thank you, Seema, the other person that beats themselves up all the time. It's really important for them to acknowledge themselves. Then the person that is very good at acknowledging himself is the opportunity for them is looking at how they have hurt other people, right? Like we have all done stuff in our lives where somebody has been impacted in a way different than what we intended, right? I only use this word if it applies, all behavior has a positive intention for the person with the behavior. All behavior has a positive intention for the person with the behavior. Now, that does not mean that it has a positive outcome, right? Like I could spend like a whole show just on that aspect of it alone. But what's important about this is within every single one of us, this is going to challenge some of you like this, but this has been a conversation I've wanted to have for a very, very long time because so many people get in these places where they don't recognize of what they're really capable of. And what I mean by that, we are capable of doing some things that we never in a million years thought we could possibly do, both on negative side and positive side, right? And I don't like looking at things through that way, but I'm only making that distinction now in the context of what it is that I'm telling you. Every single one of us is probably capable of taking someone's life if we were put in the right into the situation that would bring out parts of us that we'd never impact. So think about, well, someone kidnapped your child, or I mean, like, it's there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we all have shadow aspect of us. We are all impacted by light and dark, and various degrees of that, right? I'm getting you to think beyond duality, right? And so this is where we can be the villain in how we show up with somebody else, right? Like when something you value is jeopardized, it's going to bring out things in you that you didn't even know was there, right? But I just want to put the possibility out there of really getting you to understand how resourceful you can become when you let go of the limitations that hold you back. Okay. I say this all the time, that if you don't believe you're resourceful, then think about, what if somebody kidnapped your child and you needed to come up with X amount of dollars in order to save your child's life? You would not be thinking about excuses of why you couldn't do it. All you would be thinking about is, how do I create this? How do I make this happen? Why? Because your child's life is more valuable to you than hanging on to the limitations that hold you back. Okay. Every decision we make is reflecting what we value. This is really important. In the moment we made that decision. In the moment we made that decision. So some of us have had relationships that didn't go the way we wanted them. Some of us have had careers that didn't go the way we wanted to have them. Lots of experiences in our lives that went in a different direction than what we had hoped that they went. But the reason is because we made decisions in a very certain state of resourcefulness that, so let me explain this. So there was a guy that put a video out there, and he talked about past relationships and saying that that's what I know is love to be at that level of my life. Okay. Then that relationship didn't turn out. The next relationship, okay, this is a different level of understanding, different level of love. It's not that we didn't love the person that we first experienced love with. It's that we loved at our fullest ability at that time in our lives, right? As we evolve, and hopefully we are all evolving all the time and get to experience different aspects of who we are, we get to see that there's different versions of who we are, right? So that's what I'm saying is, when I bring up, where are you a villain in the story? What comes up inside of you, right? Because whatever comes up inside of you is the very thing that is wanting your attention to look at. Because what does it mean to be a villain in your story? What does it mean, right? Every, I don't want to say every, I retracted that. That guy that said that, just don't pay attention to him. Most Hollywood blockbuster movies have a villain and a hero, right? Because it creates conflict. Conflict is what makes Hollywood movies so captivating, right? And in order to have that, you've got to have the contrast of the hero and the villain, right? So looking at this within yourself is you being able to understand, how do you hold space for the part of you that has made decisions that has impacted other people's lives? How do you hold space for that? Right? Because however you hold space for that is also part of what's going to support you in transcending into different areas of your life, because your subconscious wants to serve you. So what does that mean? It means that your subconscious is going to serve you the way it believes you want to be served. So how does that play out when you're talking about having a villain part of your story? Is like, if you made a decision back here that caused somebody pain and you don't ever want to do that again, and you don't break it down and look at the context of where you were at that time that you made that decision, it is going to massively impact your ability to making a decision in the future, right? Like I've seen lots of things on TikTok, like people are saying, well, I don't want to do this because in the past it hurts. You are financing your past, right? Like mastery is literally being able to let go of decisions that you made in the past and being able to transcend them so that you can be aligned and congruent with what the future is that you want to create, right? Like I said, every decision is made in the moment and it plays out over time, right? And every decision we make is reflecting what we truly value at that time, right? And so if we have stuff in our lives that we haven't looked at or transcended or whatever. Like, and one of the biggest seductions for me, and I'm just going to be completely transparent with you, because effective seduction is not recognized, right? And friends, we have a like, this is why I'm doing my ROI Accelerator Challenge. I'm going to drop truth bombs on this that are going to radically open up possibilities for people's lives, right? Because I wish you could just all jump in my head right now and see why am I so passionate about this, is because effective seduction is not recognized. And see, the media is very, very good at demonizing people. And because people don't understand the difference of understanding how seductive duality is, they don't take the responsibility to do the balanced research. And so they just take what the media says, and then they get all kinds of entangled in it and invested into what the media wants you to believe, right? In the television, right? And if they can control what you perceive, they can control how you behave. Let me repeat that. If they can control what you perceive and what you believe, then they control how you behave, right? And my mission is to get people to really understand how you're being seduced, how you're being hypnotized, right? And so that is where, like, you look at, like, oh my gosh, friends, there's so many things I want to talk about this show, because again, it's looking at how do we hold space for people that have hurt us, right? And the other part of that is okay, why does that hurt me so much? And then also looking at how have I, like, this is one of the things that I do, and I do this often, my friends. This is mastery, right? Like, one of the things that irritates me, and I'm just being transparent with you, is when I'm driving. Now, I'm a retired professional driver, right? So I've put on millions of miles. I've driven all over this country. Like, I love to race cars, motorcycles, been driving since I was 4 years old. I was put on a motorcycle when I was 4 years old, okay? So I've got lots of experience in driving. The thing that causes more accidents than anything else is drivers that hesitate, okay? The people that are driving in the passing lane slower than the speed limit, or they hesitate. Like, we got a highway called Blood Highway. That's actually where James Dean was killed. I think it's Highway 41 or 46 or whatever. They've changed it now, but it's a 2-lane highway, and so many people will just, like, literally risk their life to pass all the cars, but it's because of the car up front isn't doing what we've all been taught to do. When you have two or three more cars following you, the appropriate thing is to pull over and let all that traffic pass you, right? But most people won't do that. So you get cars stacked up, and then you get somebody in the back that's impatient, kind of like me, will do everything they can to pass all that traffic, and they end up having head-on collisions. What created that was the person up front going slower than the speed limit, okay? So it's just different ways of looking at things. And there's been so many people that I pass, and it's like they don't even have rear view mirrors. They don't even recognize what's going on behind them, because they're so caught up in what's in front of them, right? That's not an effective strategy to drive. So understanding that being a villain or a hero is nothing more than perspective, right? Now here's a great case in point. How many of you, okay, I'm going to ask for a truth moment here, okay? How many of you have lied in your life? How many of you have told an untruth in your life, right? Like, if you're being honest, every single one of us is going to raise our hand, right? Now, what I mean by that is there is not a person on this planet that is entirely 100% trustworthy. Okay, there's not. Now, this is one of the things that I have about people that are being kind, right? Because someone that says I'm a kind person, what that tells me is they're not going to, and I could be completely wrong. And if somebody said that with me, I would open up this conversation and have a dialogue about this. I want to be a kind person. Okay, cool. Not an issue unless it comes to be you value being kind more than you value being authentic with me. Because as soon as you value being authentic with me, I'm not getting the truth. Because you have held me in a space that you get to decide what I can handle and what I can't handle, right? Because I want to be kind, okay? I want to be congruent. I want to be considerate. See, and here's the other thing. To be considerate towards somebody is, am I holding on to something that is literally impacting my connection with this relationship? If I'm not telling that person what I'm literally experiencing inside of this relationship and I'm holding it, we start getting weighed down, and then we're a ticking time bomb. just waiting for something to hit enough times where we get to the place like, I don't care how this is going to land, I'm going to blow up, right? Excuse me, that's passive aggressive, right? We've all been there, right? So if you really care about a relationship, then you are going to be transparent with that person. And if you have concerns, and this is so like, this is why we haven't been taught this stuff, right? Like the mission out there is to get everybody to divide, be angry and confused, and be afraid. Why? Because when you're angry, confused, and afraid, guess what you do more? You consume more. You consume more, right? I've said this in many, many videos. There are consumer engineers out there that do everything they can to trigger you so that you get in that state so that you want to buy and purchase more stuff. That's their job, right? They're literally called consumer engineers, right? So when you are in that place and you take it, and you turn into the villain. You turn into the villain because you no longer care about how it's going to land. What you care about is getting the pain out of you, okay? But see, the opportunity is, what if you shared that, like being the hero in your journey? Friends, nobody in your life, nobody is living your life. Nobody. You are the only person you spend every nanosecond of your life with. You are the only one. Nobody else is living your life, right? So you becoming the hero of me, I'm going, okay, is that better? Like, it was saying that I was muted. I really hope that I wasn't muted that whole time because I just said some amazing things. Well, if it was muted, then go over to Instagram because I got it playing on Instagram as well. But what I want you to say, what I want to offer you is I am doing an ROI Accelerator Challenge here at the end. It's going to be the second week in September. I wanted to do it the weekend after Labor Day because I want everybody to be rested and ready and finish up strong for 2022, right? So if you haven't signed up for the ROI Accelerator Challenge, please do so ASAP because in here, I'm going to show you the three most powerful things that you could ever understand. Remember, like reattach yourself to the most awesome version of who you are because that most awesome version of who you were was conditioned and programmed to play small, right? Like this is get to be the opportunity where you get to create and remember who you really were, like before you understood what fear and anger and shame and guilt and all that stuff was. Because once we started taking all that stuff on, it started filtering what we saw was even possible. Okay. Then the O is for optimizing, like you literally getting to optimize what it is, how you show up in all areas of your life. So think about a cell phone, like what determines the battery life of this cell phone, right? It is one, how well is it connected to source? If it is out in roaming area, it is searching for a signal all the time. It is going to burn up that battery very quickly, right? The other thing is if you are connected to source, a cell phone tower, a cell tower, the other thing that's important is how many apps do you have open? That is also going to drain your battery. So think about this. We created apps when we were young, and those were the apps that we needed in an environment that we didn't understand was also creating our limitations. So we created an app about money. We created an app about friendship. We created an app about judgment. All these apps that we created when we were infants are not going to support us in what we want to create today. So every time you get an upgrade on your operating system, which is your phone, your computer, whatever, every time you get an upgrade and you update the operating system, the apps that are not updated become obsolete. So we've got to look at what apps need to become obsolete within your operating system so that you can be more efficient and more effective in what you want to create. Then the I is being able to influence in a way that is powerful and compelling. But the first thing that's about this is you being able to influence yourself, right? Because we cannot congruently impact anybody else or influence anybody else until we really understand who we are, what we're doing, and what it is that we want to create, right? And there's so many of us, and this is like, I used to train for network marketing companies and put a lot of effort into making some network marketing companies very, very wealthy. And what started impacting me was I started seeing that once I spent time in there, right? Like I said, I made the decision and time revealed the impact of that decision. I started getting to know upper management, the company, the owner of the company, whatever, and started to see that it wasn't aligned with who I truly was. I have an issue now. Now I'm supporting something I don't believe in. That is called incongruency. And I am not able to, now I could do it, right? Like I could influence people and still get people to invest into who they are. I still believe in network marketing. Powerful, powerful way for us to really get in touch with who we are and being able to impact people and show leadership and lots of amazing skills that entrepreneurship offers. However, if we are not aligned and congruent with the company we represent, we have an issue, right? And I've coached some of the biggest marketers out there that ended up in hospitals representing companies that were not congruent with who they truly were, right? So we've really got to know what it means to influence somebody, because friends, understand, I would write this down. 93% of communication is unconscious. 93% of communication is unconscious. And if you're conscious of that, then you can start making some amazing things happen, right? Like I'm going to show you the ninja stuff that I do with my clients and all my trainings, because there's lots of things that I'm communicating on this screen that you're not even consciously aware of, because I know the game of influence and how to get people to step into their greatest version of who they are, right? If you don't understand influence, it's being used on you. I will straight up tell you, I am here to influence you. I am here to influence you into your greatest version of who you are, right? And I am absolutely 100% congruent in doing that, right? And also understand everybody's on a journey. Like some of it's going to land for you and some of it's not. And I also understand that there's level of comprehension and the ability to assimilate the information into deeper parts of who we are, right? That's what I do, right? So I have seen lots of people be very, very misled in the last 2 years. Like it's been happening for decades, right? Like if you knew, I'm going to go over this in the ROI Accelerator Challenge, there is actually a frequency that causes us to experience things that are not aligned with our greatness that was impacted or implemented back when Hitler was around. And it's still the same frequency that we use today. And so until you understand that, it's going to impact your ability to know what is really going on. Friends, attention is the most valuable commodity right now. Attention is the number one commodity right now. And they're doing whatever they can to keep you captivated. Like start looking at how advertisements start and stop, right? Start looking at, step back and go, what is this really communicating? Okay. And in the ROI Accelerator Challenge, I'm going to open up, like, you're going to learn things about influence. It's going to blow you away. It's going to blow you away, right? Because there's a reason they call it vision, right? And if they can control your perception, they can control your behavior, right? And it's, again, I'm not anti-TV. I am anti a lot of other things, but I understand that. And I'm just going to drop this bomb for you. I'm going to drop a big bomb for you. Watch the movie Focus. Watch the movie Focus and Experimenter. Those two movies are the ones that I recommend to all my students, all my clients, because it really emphasizes on how impressionable you really are, right? And I want to do what I can because there's people out there that are exploiting it. I want to educate you so that you can make a decision, an educational decision, rather than a choice that you believe you have to make, so that you don't get separated from the tribe. Friends, understand that. Like, how did they used to punish people back in the Bronze days, right? Like the golden years, like not the gold, but the golden age, the Renaissance, the Bronze Age, like all of those times, how did they punish people? I really want this to sink in really deeply. How do they punish people is they exiled them. So our biggest fear is to be separated from our community. It's one of our biggest fears. And so what is your community? It's not just the people in your family. It's not just the people within your community. It's also belief system that you were taught by your environment, by your authority figures as you were growing up. And see, this is what causes the tension. This is how you become fearless, okay? I'm not saying I'm fearless. I understand what's going on, though. Then it gives me some tools so that I can accelerate it more. To be fearless is to let go of the anticipation of loss. To be fearless is to let go of the anticipation of loss. And see, friends, understand that you are the one that's creating the narrative of every single experience you've ever had in your life, right? So I'm going to go over this at a whole other level in ROI Accelerator Challenge. If you haven't signed up yet, get over there. It's $1 for general. It's $47 for the VIP. The VIP, I highly recommend you be a part of that because there's going to be a lot of inside coaching that I'm going to be doing with that. If you can't afford $1 and you want to be a part of it, reach out to me. Like, I want you to be in it because this is some stuff I'm going to be dropping that I have never, ever dropped before. And I really want to do all I can to support my friends, my followers, my family, right? To do everything I can to support you in getting to a whole other level. So if you haven't signed up for the ROI Accelerator Challenge, do so now. And also, if you aren't following me on TikTok, you definitely need to be following me on TikTok because that's where I'm giving away incredible content because people ask questions and I can respond to them, to those questions. There's also some other things I know about what's happening with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, but I don't want this video to be banned. So I'm not going to say any more on that. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with me. It means the world to me. I appreciate it. I value you. And until next time, my friend, live like your life depends on it because it does. Love you. Appreciate you. And be blessed. Have a great night.